Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back, everyone. I'm here with a new updated silver price forecast for today, Friday, August 11th, 2023. In this video, we're going to see what new fundamental and technical signals are pointing to for the price of silver. Because yesterday, Thursday, August, we saw the price of silver really shoot up. We started off the day around $36.90. It ended the day just below $37.45. So basically, almost 60 cents gain in one trading day. And that was over 1% gain in one day for the price of silver. So there are some very important elements to look at right now. So let's go ahead and get right into it. But first, if you're not already a subscriber, consider subscribing because most people who watch these videos aren't actually subscribers. So it would help out the channel a lot. Also, don't forget to hit the like button if you haven't done so already. Okay, so right now, we can see that the price of silver is coming in at $37.38. So a little bit off of its highs from yesterday. But more importantly, if we take a look at the intraday chart, we can see that we had a big green candle yesterday. We had a very small red candle with a tiny bit of downward momentum into the London session. And right now, we're having some sideways action. The key level that I want to show you guys is $37.40. Because if we get a move above $37.40, that will be a significant breakout for the price of silver. That will point towards the next key level, which is $37.50, which is also an all-time high for silver. The last all-time high was back in 2022. If we get above $37.50, then the next key level after that would be $38.20. And then, once we get past $38.20, then the next key level would be $39. But again, like I said, the key level right now is $37.40. If we get a move above $37.40, that will be very bullish for silver. However, if we do end up moving lower, the key support level is at $37. And if we lose this $37 level, then the next support level would be $36.80. As far as volume goes, volume is starting to pick up. Like yesterday, we had over 100 million shares traded. In fact, over 133 million shares traded. So volume is picking up. This is a good sign. Now, before we get into the price forecast, I want to share with you guys this article from Bloomberg. Fed to cut rates in September as recession fears return. Now, this is very important information that we need to understand, because if the Federal Reserve is going to cut rates in September, that means that they're going to start cutting rates. Basically, they're going to be ending their tightening cycle. And if we have a scenario where we have the Fed cutting rates in September, we're looking at a big economic slowdown or even a recession. This is why I believe that the price of silver is going to continue to rise, because the value of silver as a metal and as an investment continues to rise during periods of economic uncertainty and also when the Fed cuts rates. What I think is going to happen is we're going to see the price of silver maybe sell off a little bit whenever the Fed officially announces their rate hike in July, but the market is already pricing this in. So I think this is already being priced into the current price of silver right now. And then I think we're gonna see the price of silver shoot up whenever the Fed announces a rate cut in September. So right now, what the market is pricing in is a 25 basis point rate hike in July, which would bring the federal funds rate to a target range of 5.5% to 5.75%. But then what the market is pricing in is a 25 basis point rate cut in September. So a rate cut in September is already being priced in by the market. And this is why I think the price of silver is going to continue to rise, because the market knows that the Fed has to cut rates. If the Fed doesn't cut rates, and if we enter into a recession, the stock market is going to sell off. So the Fed has to cut rates. They don't want to have a big sell-off in the stock market, because this will cause a lot of pain throughout the entire economy, especially in the banking sector. So the Fed has to cut rates. And this is why I think the price of silver is going to continue to rise. Here's another quote from the article. Traders raised the chance of a September cut to 60% after a softer than expected U.S. jobs report on Wednesday added two signs of a cooling labor market and amid mounting evidence that price pressures are easing. And we know that inflation came in lower than expected. In fact, inflation came in below the Fed's target, so the Fed has to start cutting rates. They don't want to have a scenario where inflation goes below their target. They want to have inflation around their target of 2%. So I think the Fed is going to start cutting rates in September. And this is why I think the price of silver is going to continue to rise. Also, we got a brand new signal from the COT report. This is a weekly report that comes out every Friday. And essentially, it shows us the combined net position of all the commercial traders and the large speculators. So this is a brand new report that I just got access to. We can see that the price of silver in the last few weeks, at least in the last month, has been rising. So basically, from the last week of June to the last week of July, the price of silver has been rising. And we've seen a sharp rise in the price of silver in the last 2 weeks. And what's interesting is we have a big change in the disaggregated data. So we can see here that the commercials, their net position, they went from being net short to being net long. So the commercials went from selling silver to buying silver. So all this is pointing towards a big breakout in the price of silver. We have a key breakout resistance level at $37.40. We're getting strong upward momentum. Volume is picking up. We have the Fed signaling that they're going to cut rates in September. So the price of silver should continue to rise. In addition to that, we got the brand new signal from the COT report that the commercials are buying silver right now. So the commercials are buying, the large speculators are buying. Everyone is buying silver right now. So I think that the price of silver is going to continue to rise. I think we're going to see a big move above $37.40. And then I think we're going to see a big move towards $37.50. And if we get past $37.50, then I think the next level would be $38.20 and then $39. So this is very exciting for silver. I think we're going to see a big move higher in the price of silver. Okay, so that's my price forecast for silver. If you'd like to see my price forecast for gold, I made a video earlier this week. Just check out my other content. Also, if you'd like to see my price forecast for the major stock indexes like the S&P 500, Dow Jones, and also NASDAQ, I made a video this week. Check out my other content. Alright, so thanks so much for watching. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day.